Page 30, we're talking about eighth notes and 16th notes. Now, eighth notes and 16th notes are smaller note values than the other stuff we've done, the whole notes and halves and quarter notes. They also look they might look a little bit more complicated, especially if you have not seen these before or if you're less familiar with them. So, an eighth note we're going to start with. It's worth half of a beat in commonly used time signatures. In the last lesson, we talked about quarter notes get 1 beat, half notes get 2 beats. Here we have eighth notes. This is half of a quarter note, all right? Half of a beat. So when we see one at a time, they will look like this. It looks like a quarter note with a stem, but it's got this little flag, curved flag hanging off it, all right? That's what indicates that it's an eighth note. If in the case, and this is pretty common, when you have more than one eighth note together, they are grouped with a beam. Often you'll have 2 eighth notes beamed together like this, with that flat line across the top. If you have many in a row, they might be beamed in groups of 4. So that is how they look, and we'll get to hearing them in a moment. But I want you to take a minute, pause the video right now, and just practice drawing some single eighth notes and eighth notes with beams as well. So when you do that, put the note head, stem, and eighth notes with tails will just look kind of like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if it looks obviously like a flag coming off it, that's great. Some pairs of eighth notes. So you're going to do 2 note heads, 2 stems up, and just connect them with a flat line. That's all you need to do. Okay, try a few of those. Pause the video right now, do that, fill out those 2 lines, and we'll carry on. All right, so when you hear eighth notes, we're going to just take a second and listen to how quick they sound. All right, I'm going to set up a metronome here. Eighth notes, remember, they get half of a beat. So in other words, when you string a few of them together, they will sound twice as fast as quarter notes. All right, here's a metronome gonna come at you right now. Okay, you can hear it's in 4-beat groupings. So 4/4 time. Okay. Now, if I do a string of quarter notes, 1 per beat. If I do a string of eighth notes, they'll go twice as fast. Okay, that's how fast eighth notes would go. To count them, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, like on the beat, right? Quarter notes, you'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes are twice as fast, and you would say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You would just put ands in between the numbers, and that's how you would figure it out. All right. To finish off this eighth note section, it says complete each of these measures by placing eighth notes under the asterisk. So just like you've done before, what you're going to do is see how many beats there are. In 4/4 time, you need 4 beats per bar. 1, 2, 3 quarter notes, or 3 beats in the bar, you need 1 more beat. How many eighth notes? You need to put eighth notes. How many eighth notes make up 1 beat? Well, a single eighth note is half of a beat, so you're going to need 2 eighth notes. And since they are right beside each other, you can beam them together, right? If you have 4 eighth notes side by side, you can beam all 4 of them together. All right, so pause the video real quick, finish off that little line, should take you just a few seconds, and we'll carry on to 16th notes. All right, moving on to 16th notes. These look more complicated yet, if you're not familiar with them, but essentially they are just dividing in half again. All right, so first thing you should notice, hopefully you're noticing already, is that you see 2 flags hanging off these 16th notes. Or when they're beamed together, there are 2 horizontal lines. A 16th note is worth 1/4 of a beat. Or in other words, it's half of an eighth note, right? Now, and because it gets half of the eighth note time, they go even faster. They have 2 tails or beams, and most commonly grouped in 4s because you need 4 of them to make 1 quarter note beat. All right, to make up the value of 1 quarter note beat, as it says right there. But they can be grouped together with and I think we have a little bit of a typo here, but they can be grouped together with other eighth notes and quarter notes and other kinds of note values. Sometimes you might see two 16th notes beamed together, followed by an eighth note. Okay, you can have different groupings, and we'll look at those as we go forward. Okay, so to hear 16th notes, now these will go faster. I'm gonna get the metronome going again. Okay, remember this is the speed of the quarter note. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to get to 16th notes, you have to think eighth notes, and then you can think 16th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the speed of the eighth note. So go twice as fast as that for 16th notes. Hopefully you're hearing there are 4 in each pulse. In each quarter note pulse, you can hear 4 sounds, right? On the piano, it might sound like this. So here are quarter notes, eighth notes, and now 16th notes. Okay, so they go quite fast. In terms of counting them and saying a 16th notes, remember with quarter notes you just say the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, okay? With eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you put the ands in between. For 16th notes, here's what you say. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, and that might sound like a mouthful to hear it for the first time, but essentially what you're saying is this. 1 E and a. Okay, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So to just break it down a little bit more concisely, okay, let me just zoom in here to this gray area, this big empty spot here. Be perfect for drawing it out. 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Let's say those are the 4 beats, the 4 quarter note pulses in your piece of music. Then you can have eighth notes. So you're adding halfway through each beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that's how your music would look, okay, if you had eighth notes. If you added 16th notes, you're adding an extra pulse inside each of these things. So you're going to put E and A. Okay, so what ends up coming out is 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Right, and that's how you would vocalize saying 16th notes. E, A. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. All right? It might sound, like I said, it might sound a little bit funny, but you'll get used to it. You really will. So practice drawing some 16th notes. Practice drawing a few 16th notes on their own, like this, with 2 little flags. And try drawing 4 16th notes beamed together. And then last little investigation, circle all the 16th notes below. Find where they all are, whether they have 2 flags or whether they have beams together, okay? Give those a try, and we'll take it up in the next class. See you later. Wow, that was well timed.